the Forgotton Island. In the summer of 1994, 6 college friends decided to embark on an adventure that promised thrills and the unknown. Peter, the leader with an insatiable thirst for excitement, found an old map tucked away in his late grandfather's attic. The map was of an island off the coast of Valor, an island not found on any modern chart. Peter's grandfather had scribbled one word on the map: forgotten. Eager for an adventure, Peter, along with Isabella, Luke, Jane, Bill, and Anna, set out on a rented boat. Anna, the animal lover of the group, brought along her faithful dog, Dale, a loyal German shepherd. The journey was rough, the sea turbulent, as if warning them to turn back. But their excitement overshadowed any apprehensions. Arrival. As the island came into view, it looked untouched by time, covered in dense forests with an eerie silence hanging in the air. They anchored their boat and stepped onto the sandy shore. A dense fog enveloped them almost immediately, reducing visibility and giving the surroundings a spectral quality. The first night. Setting up camp near the shore, they started a fire and shared stories. As night fell, the temperature dropped unnaturally, and the fog thickened. Suddenly, they heard a whispering sound coming from the forest. It was faint but unmistakable. Dale's ears perked up, and he began to growl low in his throat. "Did you hear that?" Jane asked, her voice shaking. "It's just the wind," Peter reassured her, though he didn't believe it himself. The old mansion. The next morning, they decided to explore the island. They stumbled upon an old, dilapidated mansion hidden deep within the forest. It looked abandoned for decades, yet there were no signs of decay or overgrowth consuming it. Entering the mansion, they found it surprisingly well preserved, with furniture intact and dust covering everything like a thin veil. As they split up to explore different rooms, Isabella found an old diary on a desk in the study. It belonged to a man named Elias Thorne, who once lived there. The last entry was dated 1934, mentioning strange occurrences and whispers in the night. First disappearance. That night, Luke disappeared. They searched frantically, but he was nowhere to be found. His belongings were left untouched, and there were no signs of a struggle. Panic set in among the group. "We need to leave," Isabella insisted. "We can't leave without Luke," Peter replied, though he felt an increasing dread. Dale whined and pawed at the ground, his instincts sensing danger. The secret passage. The following day, while searching the mansion for clues, they found a hidden passage behind a bookshelf. It led to an underground tunnel that stretched deep beneath the island. Armed with flashlights, they descended into the darkness, with Dale leading the way, his keen senses alert. The tunnel walls were lined with strange, ancient symbols. As they ventured deeper, they stumbled upon a large chamber filled with old nautical equipment and maps detailing shipwrecks in the area. In the center was an altar with a large, ornate box. The box. Against their better judgment, they opened the box. Inside, they found a collection of old bones and a worn, leather-bound book. The book contained rituals and incantations in a language they couldn't understand. Suddenly, the chamber began to shake, and an unearthly wail echoed through the tunnels. Terrified, they ran back to the surface, but the island had changed. The trees seemed to move, and the fog had turned a deep shade of red. The entity. That night, they were haunted by visions of a dark entity, a shadowy figure that seemed to be everywhere and nowhere. It whispered their names, driving them to the brink of madness. Bill was the next to disappear, taken in the dead of night by unseen forces. Isabella found more entries in Elias Thorne's diary, describing how he had made a pact with an ancient sea deity to protect the island. But the deity demanded sacrifices, and Elias had been driven mad, eventually sacrificing himself. The final stand. Desperate and fearing for their lives, the remaining friends decided to destroy the altar in the underground chamber, hoping it would break the curse. As they made their way back through the tunnel, the ground trembled and the walls seemed to close in on them. Reaching the chamber, they set the altar on fire. The island roared in fury, and the entity materialized, a grotesque amalgamation of darkness and sea creatures. It attacked, but as the flames consumed the altar, the entity let out a final, deafening scream and disintegrated into nothingness. Escape. The island began to collapse, and Peter, Isabella, Jane, Anna, and Dale raced back to their boat. They barely made it, setting sail as the island sank into the ocean, swallowed by the sea from which it had emerged. They watched in stunned silence, the weight of their ordeal sinking in. Aftermath. Back on the mainland, they reported their friends as missing at sea, a tragic accident. No one would believe the true story. The experience left them scarred, haunted by the whispers they could still hear in the silence of the night. Years later, Peter found himself in his grandfather's attic again. This time, there was another map, older and more worn, with a single word scribbled on it, cursed. And beneath it, a set of coordinates. The prelude. Peter couldn't shake off the chills the map brought. He gathered his courage and decided to research the coordinates. They led to another isolated spot in the Atlantic. He vowed never to tell anyone and burned the map. But deep down, he knew that curiosity could be an unyielding force. The island's legacy haunted his dreams, and whispers of the sea deity echoed in his mind, a constant reminder of the Forgotton Island's dark history. Unseen forces. One night, unable to sleep, Peter felt an inexplicable pull towards the sea. He found himself driving to the coast, the memories of the island creeping back. He stood at the edge of the shore, staring into the vast ocean. As the waves crashed against the rocks, he heard a faint, familiar whisper, sending a shiver down his spine. Was the curse truly broken, or was the sea calling for another sacrifice? The return. Haunted by the unanswered questions and the mysterious power of the sea deity, Peter couldn't resist the call of the ocean. He returned to his grandfather's house, searching for more clues, more maps. One night, while rummaging through old trunks, he found a hidden compartment with ancient artifacts, including an old compass that didn't point north. Determined to end the curse once and for all, Peter gathered Isabella, Jane, Anna, and Dale for one final voyage. They were reluctant but understood the gravity of the situation. Armed with the strange compass and their wits, they set sail into the unknown once again. The revelation. As they followed the compass, they encountered supernatural phenomena, ghostly ships, disembodied voices, and storms that seemed to come out of nowhere. The compass led them to another island eerily similar to the Forgotton Island but even more foreboding. Exploring this new island, they found a hidden temple beneath the surface. Inside, they uncovered murals depicting the sea deity's origin, a powerful being that controlled the ocean's fury and demanded human sacrifices to maintain balance. The sacrifice. Realizing that the curse could only be broken by appeasing the deity, Peter decided to offer himself. Despite Isabella, Jane, and Anna's protests, he believed it was the only way to end the suffering. As he performed the ancient ritual described in Elias Thorne's book, the ground shook, and the deity appeared, more menacing than ever. The final confrontation. In a dramatic showdown, Peter confronted the deity, reciting the incantations and offering his life. The deity roared, the ocean waves rising to unimaginable heights. But as Peter's voice grew louder, the deity's power waned. Finally, in a blinding flash of light, the deity disintegrated and the ocean calmed. The return to normalcy. Peter, Isabella, Jane, Anna, and Dale returned to the mainland, forever changed by their experience. The curse was lifted, and the whispers ceased. They vowed to keep their story a secret, but the memory of their ordeal lingered. Epilogue. Years later, a new generation of adventurers discovered an old, worn map in an attic, leading to a forgotten island off the coast of Valor. Little did they know of the dark legacy that awaited them, and the cycle of curiosity and terror began anew. The haunting legacy. Despite Peter's sacrifice, the legend of the island lived on. Dale, the loyal dog, revalored ever watchful, sensing the unseen forces that still lingered in the shadows. He often barked at nothing, his eyes following movements invisible to human eyes. The friends knew that the island's story was far from over. One evening, while gathering at Peter's old house, they noticed a peculiar detail. The compass that Peter had used during their final voyage was glowing faintly, pointing not to the north, but towards the sea. A chilling realization dawned upon them: some curses are not so easily broken. As the waves whispered secrets to the wind and the fog rolled in thick and heavy, they understood that the Forgotten Island was more than a place. It was a presence, a curse woven into the very fabric of the ocean, waiting for the next chapter to unfold. If you liked the video, then please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Thanks.